Do you want to score 50 in quant? Follow these 5 steps. These are mindsets and skill sets. So if you just take care of these 5 things, you can get 50 in GMAT Quant. Hi, my name is Mandeep. I'm a GMAT coach and founder of GMAT Mantra. So when you start your preparation for GMAT, take care of these 5 things. Number 1, memorize the concepts. See, when you study for quant, there are 2 things. One is the theory part, which we have the formulas, concepts, and second is the practice questions. So when you study the concepts, memorize them. Okay, don't just read them, because when you read, you think that you have understood, but when you start solving the question, you don't remember the formulas. So when you study the concepts, make sure you memorize it. Now, when I say memorize it, study in a sense that you are able to teach it to someone. Otherwise, you'll always feel, oh, I don't know this or I don't know that. Okay. So number 1, always memorize the concepts. Number 2, see, when you're studying, study without any time pressure. Most of the students, who I work with, right from the beginning, they just started their GMAT preparation and they want to get every question right in 2 minutes. It doesn't work like it doesn't work like that. Because when you're starting something, first understand the basics, then understand how to solve the question. Once you know how to solve the question, then we focus on the speed. You don't know how don't know the formulas, you don't know the concepts, but you want to get the question right in 2 minutes. Not feasible. Okay, so when you're learning concepts and you're practicing, have a mindset of a learner. Learner is like study without time pressure. Maybe you're studying for a whole day, but don't put any pressure. Okay, next 5 days I have to do this much. Because when you're learning and when you just remove the time pressure, you work faster because your mind is relaxed. The main problem is that we put so much time pressure, our mind is not free. So if your mind is not free, you will not be able to focus. So when you study without time pressures. Okay, that's second. Third, solve every question yourself. I would say this is the most important thing, and I repeat this every time. Most of the students, they think that more practice they do, better they get. That's true. But you have to solve those questions yourself. How maximum students practice question is that they try to solve the question, give 3, 4, 5 minutes to a question. If they're not able to solve that question, they look at the explanation from some source. They go to GMAT Club or you go to YouTube, or if they're solving some official guide questions, they start looking at the solution given at the back of official guide. So if you are doing that, probably you're not improving. Because to improve, you have to solve your question yourself. Okay? So practice more, but when you practice, focus on solving every question yourself. Initially, it may take you around maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes per question. Give that. If you don't give that, forget it. No matter how many thousands of questions you do, you will not improve your score. And that is the story of 95% students. Okay, so if you're in part of this 95%, ask yourself, are you solving each question yourself? If yes, you will see automatic improvement. But if you're just looking at the explanation, stop it right away. If you don't do that, irrespective whichever study material you take or from wherever you study, you will not get the score. Okay, that's the fact. And don't deny that. Okay, number 3. Now number 4. See, when you solve the question in GMAT, if you have solved some of the questions, they are not calculation intensive. In GMAT, normally, we have to focus on the language of the question. Because question can be solved in 2-3 steps. But the most important thing is exactly what the question is asking. I normally tell my students, GMAT Quant is not, they're not testing you on the quant skills. It's a paper of language. Even in quant, they play around with the language. So have this habit of analyzing the question. Don't just start attacking the question. What students do is they just read the question so fast, without even understanding what the question is asking, they start solving. And they get stuck because they are not even aware what the question is asking. So don't be in a rush. Okay, so when you're solving the question, analyze the question. So if you have 2 minutes to solve the question, I would say spend 1 to 1.5 minutes in understanding the question. You can solve the question in 30 seconds if you know what you need to solve. Because I know that GMAT is not calculation intensive exam. There will be few, 4, 5, 6 questions where you need to do some calculations, but they're also basic calculations. It's an exam of language. Understand whether it's quant or verbal. In both the cases, GMAT is only focused on the language, how you comprehend the language, how you understand the language. So develop the skill that you understand the language. Don't attack the question. Don't try to solve it without understanding. That's the most important skill if you want to score 700 plus on GMAT. Okay, and the last. Okay, this is the final stages. So once you have been through the practice, when you're giving mock test or when you're preparing for your GMAT, okay, now maximum students have this mindset that you have to get all the questions correct to get 50. That's not true. You need 80% accuracy. Okay, that means out of 31 questions, if you get around 24, 25 questions right, you will end up getting 50. But the condition is you should get them back to back right. Okay, so when you're solving the questions or when you're attempting the mock test, focus on the accuracy. Don't focus on attempting all the questions. Yes, you have to mark something for each question, otherwise you get negative. But when I'm saying probably, we have 62 minutes in GMAT Quant section. For 60 minutes, focus on doing as many questions as you can do and try to get all of them right. And it is possible in GMAT Quant. If you just focus on solving the minimum number of questions. Now, don't slow down a bit, but there's no need to rush to get all the questions right. It's not required. 80% accuracy is sufficient. You need to get around 24, 25 questions right out of 31. And you can increase your accuracy if you just focus on accuracy, not to attempt all the questions. Okay, so don't rush that I have to get all the questions right. It's not required. That's same. This is true for verbal as well as quant. So focus on maximum accuracy. Once you focus on maximum accuracy, whatever is your potential, you will achieve the maximum as per your potential. But if you rush, you're bound to make a lot of silly mistakes. Because if you're making silly mistakes, that's not your potential. Okay? Because you're making the questions wrong, which you can do right if you just slow down. Okay, so focus on accuracy. Follow these 5 steps. In all the 5 steps, I've given you the basic mindsets required. If you follow these 5 mindsets, probably in 2 months, you can easily, even if you're at 0 in quant, in 2 months, you can reach Q50. But if you follow them, okay? So try them out and see how you can increase your GMAT score. Thank you.